Do you know that the way that you breathe affects your brain? Hi, I'm Bernice Hunt and I am a brain health specialist. I work with women just like you who are starting to notice a few memory challenges, and I help you to stay sharp so that as you age, you can still travel, have fun with your grandkids, and experience new adventures without missing a beat. As a public school teacher for over 30 years, I've taught a lot of lessons about cause and effect. And believe it or not, learning how to breathe correctly can positively affect your brain. Now, did you catch my last video? I did a video a few days ago on breathing and dementia. If you didn't get to see it, it's still on my YouTube channel, Keep Your Brain Sharp. Also on my Facebook page, you can go and take a look at that. But today I wanted to talk more specifically about the role that oxygen plays with regard to your brain, and also the importance of proper blood flow. Okay, so did you know that the brain uses 20% of the oxygen that your body takes in? Your little brain, just 2% of your body, uses 20% of the oxygen that you take in. That's just like saying 3 times as much as your muscles use. Your brain uses 3 times as much as your muscles use. So oxygen is indeed very important to your brain, because without oxygen, your brain just cannot function. You know the cells cannot function without oxygen. They die, okay? And your hippocampus, which is your memory center for your brain, is very sensitive to being deprived of oxygen. So you want to make sure that you get enough oxygen to your brain, because guess what? You cannot store oxygen in your brain cells, and you cannot play catch up. Like if you didn't get enough oxygen in the last hour, you can make up for it the next hour. Doesn't work that way. Your brain needs a constant supply of the oxygen on a continuous basis. Okay, so that brings us to 2 questions you need to ask yourself. Number 1, are you having enough oxygen in your blood? Number 2, is your blood able to flow well enough to deliver adequate oxygen to your brain cells? Okay, so that's what we're basically going to talk about tonight, because breathing can affect both of those things. Breathing can affect the oxygen that's in your blood, and breathing can also affect the blood flow. Helps with the circulation of that blood, depending on how you're breathing. Okay, so how do you know if your blood has enough oxygen in it? Well, fortunately, they can test. You can take a test and they can see, it's called saturation, oxygen saturation, to see how the amount of oxygen that's in your blood. So you can take a test, but there are also warning signs that give you a little hint, a little clue that you may not be getting enough oxygen. Okay. One of the warning signs is numbness. A lot of us talk about your foot going to sleep or your hand falling asleep or whatever, fingers or whatever. That's poor circulation. You're not getting enough oxygen to those body parts. That's not a good thing. It may feel kind of funny, a little numbness or whether a little tingly or whatever, but it's not a good sign. It's a warning sign that you're not getting enough. Also, turning blue. Some of your body parts can actually turn blue. Not a good look. It also is a warning sign that there's something going on with the amount of oxygen that's getting to your body part, okay? Also, brain fog. That's a biggie these days. Brain fog can be caused also by not getting enough oxygen into your brain, and also having problems following directions. You just can't quite remember what to do or how to do or understand what to do. Your awareness of things going on, all of that can be a warning sign of oxygen deprivation. You're not getting enough oxygen. Okay, so look out for those things. But here's the good news. The easiest way to get more oxygen in your blood is to breathe properly. You know we got to breathe. We might as well be breathing properly. Okay, and it's the easiest way to get more oxygen in your blood. Okay, when I say breathing properly, I'm talking about leading with your diaphragm. Okay, think nose, diaphragm, lungs, nose. Okay, that's the sequence that we should be thinking on. In through your nose, diaphragm's doing its movement, its motion up through your lungs and then out through your nose. Okay, because your diaphragm is the main muscle for breathing. Most of us think naturally that it's our lungs that are the main muscle, but your diaphragm is actually the major muscle that you should be using for your breathing. It should be doing most of the work. Your lungs should be like a field as a result of the movement that's occurring to your diaphragm. Because if you're not putting your diaphragm in control, you're doing what they call shallow breathing. And it's like what it sounds like, shallow surface breathing. Your lungs are not able to get down into the nitty gritty, down to the bottom of the barrel and get all that good stuff that's down there that your body needs. It needs to be in your blood vessels. It can only get the tip of the iceberg. It's your diaphragm that moves and pushes and gets that down to that good stuff. And so you need your diaphragm to be doing most of the work to get proper oxygenation. Okay. That's what they call deep breathing. And when you are engaged in deep breathing, you're getting a lot of benefits. When you're deep breathing, first of all, it's reducing your stress level. That's always a good thing, but it also is increasing the amount of oxygen in your blood. Okay. It is improving your concentration. It is actually strengthening your immune system, and it is reducing your stress level, like I said. So those are all good reasons why you should want to practice breathing properly with deep breathing. Okay, so what do we say? We say nose, diaphragm. It's called belly breathing. So your belly should be extending up, then your lungs extend, and it goes back out through your nose. Okay, so we should be practicing that. The other thing is we need to talk about is proper circulation. Now, did you know that your brain has about 400 miles of tiny blood vessels? That sounds almost unbelievable, but that's what the experts are telling us. 400 miles of tiny blood vessels. That's a lot of blood vessels traveling throughout your brain, and you need to keep them healthy, because if you keep them healthy, you're able to better avoid major memory loss. You're able to better avoid Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. You know that vascular dementia is the second most common. It's right behind Alzheimer's in terms of the dementias. And what that is, that's the dementia due to damaged blood vessels. Okay, but if you're going to keep your blood vessels healthy, you have a much lower risk of that happening. Okay, also just depression and other mental issues are associated with poor circulation or unhealthy blood vessels. Okay, so if your blood vessels are unhealthy, if they're damaged or diseased, then you're looking at hardening. Like they talk about hardening of the arteries. Arteries are blood vessels. Hardening, you're talking about also narrowing. The blood vessels getting caked up and they're getting a narrower pathway. But you're also talking about something they call white scarring of your blood vessels. And they associate that also with increased risk to Alzheimer's. Okay. So you're looking at those things, and any of those things are going to restrict your blood flow. They are going to reduce your proper circulation. Okay. Give you poor circulation. And that is not what you want to have happening. Okay. You want all those 400 miles of vessels to be healthy, not to be narrow, not to be restricted, not to be hardened, and definitely not to be scarred. Okay. So here's the good news. How do you keep those blood vessels healthy? Well, a lot of it depends on what you do and what you don't eat and drink. So just face it, you got to pay attention to your nutrition, what you're eating and what you're drinking, a lot of. But also, deep breathing does play a part. Okay, so like we always say, there's no like magic bullet type of thing when we're talking about Alzheimer's and dementia things. It's a combination of several things. Your vessels, blood vessels be healthy. You do need to eat and drink the right kind of things and avoid the wrong kind of things, but you also would improve if you develop better breathing practices. Okay, so it plays a part. And why does deep breathing play a part with your arteries and your blood vessels? It's because of a chemical that your body makes called nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is made by your body and it's produced from eating healthy foods, and you get this nitric oxide, and what it does, it expands your vessels. It's like dilating your blood vessels. Okay, so when you're eating that, when it's released, it starts dilating your blood vessels, which is going to improve your blood flow, which is going to lower your blood pressure, which is going to reduce your stress, and all these good things start to happen because with the release of this nitric acid. And guess what? Breathing through your nose helps release the nitric acid. So we don't want to be breathing a lot through our mouth. When you have to breathe through your mouth, okay, if you're congested and whatever, okay, yeah, we don't want you to die. We want you to get some oxygen in, but we don't want to be a mouth breather. We're going to breathe through our nose, and that means inhaling and exhaling. A lot of people, when they do their exercises and stuff, it's really easy to exhale through their mouth, because they're tired or whatever, and you do that if you need to. But if you get in the habit of exhaling through your nose, long term, it actually strengthens your body, okay? And it's also a better way to breathe in terms of releasing that nitric acid, which is expanding your blood vessels and doing positive things to all those 400 miles of blood vessels in your brain. Okay. So that's very, very important. Deep breathing helps with your oxygen amount in your blood, and deep breathing helps with the release of nitric acid, with expanding your vessels. Okay. So if you want to know more specifics about the oxygenation or about the warning signs for circulation or whatever, I have a handout in my resource library. So you can go to my website, keepyourbrainsharp.com, and you can find that handout about oxygen in the brain. Okay, this is video number 224. All right, because your brain's destiny is in your hands.